Okay, so at this time we have two different methods we can use to factor trinomials of degree 2. And so what I'm going to do here is put them both together side by side. That way you can get a good glimpse at which one you want to do. And what I'm actually going to do as I do that is mimic what I personally do. I begin every problem as a GNC problem. And then after a couple of guesses, if I can't figure it out, I turn to an AC. So I actually use both, all right? And so it's good for you to see them both. So let's start this first one, right? And so again, I'm a GNC guy, so I'm going to start by saying, okay, F and L. What times what gives me this first term? Well, 3x squared, I think our only possibilities really are 3x and x. Okay, so there's my first term. Last term, negative 4. So what times what gives me a negative 4? Well, how about we try, that's a 2 there, plus 2 and minus 2. So again, my guess gives us F and L, right? First times first is first, last times last is last. So what's the check? Well, let's look at our O and our I. So in this case, the outer is a negative 6x, the inner is a positive 2x, and so we end up with a negative 4x. Of course, what I want is a positive 4. So that tells me we're not right, but we're doggone close, right? All I probably need to do is just take my two signs and flip them, right? So again, first times first is first, last times last is last. So my F and my L do what they're supposed to do. So what about the check? Outer is a 6x, inner is a negative 2x, getting us combined total of 4x. So there's our answer. Let me write it right here. So the factorization of that trinomial are those two binomials, 3x minus 2 times x plus 2. So it took me a couple guesses to get there, right? So what's an ACer doing? Well, an ACer begins by figuring out, well, A in this case is 3, B is 4, and C is negative 4, right? So there's what an ACer is thinking. What is AC? Well, for this problem, it's negative 12, right? A is 3, C is negative 4, their product is negative 12. So now I got to find two numbers that when I multiply them together give me negative 12, but when I add them together give me that middle term 4. Okay, so when we sit there and think about that, that's a 12 there. What we're looking at is 6 and negative 2. Right, so there's the right combination whose product is negative 12 and sum is 4. So we go back to our trinomial. I leave the first term alone, I leave the last term alone, and I take that middle term and I break it up into the two numbers that I have. That now forces a fourth term. So because we have 4 terms, we factor by grouping. Be careful, we're grouping around a minus sign, so I change the signs behind it. Now we have a GCF. Out front, the GCF is 3x, and back behind it's 2. All right, there's my minus sign, so on both sides we can see that x plus 2 is common, and what's left behind is the 3x minus 2, and there's your product. Again, it's their commutative law says they're equal, right? It doesn't matter how you multiply them. So they're the same answer even though they're in a different arrangement. So there you go. So again, I'm an ACer. I start off. If I can't get it after a couple tries, I immediately go to the AC. And that gives you a chance to kind of see both ideas side by side as you make your decisions. So what about the next one? I kind of got a little... So 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. Again, I'm a guesser and a checker. So I'm going to start this by thinking, right, F and L. What times what gives me the first? All right, so 9x squared. Well, how about we try 3x and 3x? All righty, and then my last term, the L, is plus 4, right? And I kind of see there's a negative here, so how about I try negative 2 and negative 2? First times first is first, last times last is last. Okay, so my F and my L work. So the check, let's go O and I. So my outer gives us a negative 6x, my inner gives us a negative 6x, and what we have is a negative 12x is what I need. So our answer is basically 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2. Of course, using our exponents, you can write it that way as well. I would accept either answer. We're trying to factor. You've done your factorization. I'm happy. But if you want to write it as an exponent, possibly my math lab will make you do that. Both answers are right. So I was very fortunate there. It only took me one guess to finally get the final answer. So we're good to go. So what are my AC people doing? Well, first we're talking about A being 9, B being negative 12, and C being 4. So my AC is 9 times 4, which is 36. So we got to find two numbers that when I multiply them give me 36, but when I add them give me negative 12. Okay, so we're going to have to think of all my factors of 36. So 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, nope, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. There we go, I think we found it. Alright, so negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. Their addition is negative 12, so there we have it. So now I'm going to go to my trinomial. I'm going to leave the first term alone. I'm going to leave the last term alone. And I'm going to rewrite the middle term with the numbers I found. Now I force four terms. So I group the first two. Again, I'm grouping around a minus sign. So change the signs behind it. GCF out front is a 3x. And I believe what will be left behind is 3x minus 2. Back here the GCF is 2. And what's left is 3x minus 2. There's my minus. Left and right, we can see that the common factor is 3x minus 2. And what's left behind is another 3x minus 2. And so there's your answer yet again. So again, two ways to do the same thing. They both work. They're side by side. You pick and choose which one you like. And then last but not least, we have this problem down here, 8x squared plus 5x minus 2. Again, the guesser and checker in me wants to try some guesses. So my F and my L, I'm thinking, okay, well, what times what equals 8x squared? So maybe 2x and 4x. All right, last, what times what gives us a negative 2? So maybe plus 1 and a minus 2. All right, so first times first is first. Last times last is last. We're looking pretty good. So when I check it with my outer and my inner, the outer gives us a negative 4x. The inner gives us a positive 4x. And what we end up with is 0 there. And we don't have 0 there, it's 5x. So that tells me my guess is wrong. Try again. So let's try another guess. So F and L again. So how about let's try another combination of 8x. So that's 8x and x. And how about we keep this as plus 1 and minus 2. So I'll keep so first times first is first, last times last is last. So here's another trial, right? So what's about my check? Well, my check has us with a negative 16x. My inner is a positive x. And we get a negative 17x. So that's off too. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Here's what I do when I'm factoring. I'm saying, man, I'm stuck. I've tried two things. Neither one really worked. There's probably a lot of other combinations, but I'm tired of guessing. So let me go to the AC routine. So AC, we have A equals 8, B equals 5, and C equals negative 2. So my AC is 8 times negative 2, which gives us negative 16. So we got to find two numbers that multiply up to negative 16, but at the same time add up to 5. All right, and we're really just looking at factors of 16. So there's 1 and 16, right? 2 and 8, 3 and, oops, nope, not 3, 4 and 4, right? And that kind of exhausts it. And we can look at this and see that none of these combinations can ever add up to 5, right? I mean, if we add those, we get a 17, here we get a 10, here we get an 8. So it doesn't seem like nothing works. So what that basically means is we have run into a prime polynomial. All right, just like a prime number, the only thing that factors in it is 1 and the polynomial itself. So there's your first shot at seeing a prime polynomial. Both methods, I got tired of guessing. I went to the AC method and I could not find the combination. If you can't find that combination, you're prime. It just doesn't exist. All right, so we need more math, and we're going to do that at another time in Math 150. Here in 120, we're just going to say we're done. So this polynomial doesn't factor. It's prime. And there's one advantage to the AC method. It'll help you right away. If you can't find the combinations to do what it's supposed to do, you're prime. Here we'd have probably been guessing all day. There's all kind of combinations for 8 and 2 and we'd probably exhausted ourselves and started hating math again. But there you go. So so 3 different attempts, and we're looking at the AC method and the guess and check together. You decide which one works. They both work. They both have their advantages. They both have their disadvantages. And you guys just need to practice like crazy, because factoring trinomials is definitely a skill that's not going away. All right, we'll learn some more skills in the next video.